And back here in Accra, Parliament has voted by a 106-92 decision to greenlight the Electoral Commission's constitutional instrument that gives legal backing to plans to compile a new voters register. The CI 196 will become law from today. The decision to conduct a vote followed a request by the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, which the Speaker granted. Joseph Obuku Gakpo was in Parliament and has filed this report.
Parliament's approval of this constitutional instrument essentially means that when the EC begins registering voters, as far as the new voters register is concerned, you can only show up with either a passport or a Ghana card from the National Identification Authority before they'll register you. If you don't have any of the two, then you need to get two people who have already registered to guarantee on your behalf. The Electoral Commission will not accept the old voter's ID card. They will not accept the birth certificate. They will not accept the driver's license or any other identification document before you can get onto the voter's register. Before the House approved the CI and, for that matter, the report of the Statutory Legislation Committee, there was a bit of a debate. The chairman of the committee withdrew an earlier report that had been laid last week, Thursday, indicating that it had been edited by the ranking member on the committee, Yao Boabia Samwari, beyond recognition, and laid a new report which essentially recommended to the House to approve this particular document by majority decision, except that they made a number of observations, including making the point that per the current provisions in that document, it will be constitutionally problematic when you, for example, say the old voter's ID card cannot be used to get onto the new register. Well, various MPs made a number of arguments, both for and against the CI, including the NDC MP for Boku Central, Mahama Yariga, and Patrick Yabuama, who is the NPP MP for Kankwe Central.
A vote on the CI. This is a vote on the adoption of the report of the committee. There is no motion on the floor for annulment. You understand? There are two distinct applications.
That's correct. It's the committee's report that was debated, which the MPs are now voting on. So what are the likely outcomes?
It is clear that the majority will vote for the report to be adopted. Secondly, what is very important is that this is an academic exercise. At the end of sitting today, like I said in the debate, this CI would have matured. There is no motion on the floor per Article 11.7c to annul the CI, of which you require two-thirds majority. There's no application on the floor.
If two-thirds say no, the CI cannot come into force.
But the two-thirds will be voting on the committee's report and not necessarily on the CI.
So the motion, in effect, is that this House should adopt the committee's report recommending that the CI should come into force. Are you getting the point? The CI committee is recommending that the CI should come into force by majority vote. So if this House, by a two-third vote, say no, they are not going to accept that recommendation. In effect, it amounts to a vote against the CI coming into force. That is the basis for the Speaker asking me not to move my independent motion and rather go and then work within the context of the committee.
After the debate, there was a voice vote, but the Minority Leader, Haruna Idrisu, insisted that they would want a head count and specific voting, so it's seen where the allegiance of every member of Parliament lies. And the Speaker, Professor Maikoko, indicated that he was already prepared for that and had asked that ballot papers be put together in order to allow for the voting by the MPs.
The record will speak for Ghana's democracy, and this is where we stood when we were called to the calling as to whether only passport and only national ID card should be basis for voter register for the conduct of elections. History will be a better judge.
This honorable House.
So the voting eventually came off. More than 200 members of Parliament voted. The voting lasted for well about 2 hours. And at the end of it all, 106 members of parliament, mainly from the majority side, voted in favor of the CI and, for that matter, the committee's report, while 92 NDC MPs voted against it. And what that meant, as Speaker Professor Michael Quay announced eventually, is that Parliament is giving the green light for the maturing of the constitutional instrument.
Honourable members, ayes 106, noes 92. The House adopts the report. Accordingly, and allows the Public Elections Registration of Voters Amendment Regulations 2020 C126 to come into force at the expiration of 21 sitting days in accordance with Article 11 sub 7 of the Constitution.
The process is in the House today, and today being day 21 eventually means that the document is maturing today. From tomorrow, it becomes law in order to allow for the Electoral Commission to go ahead and compile the new voters register based on the new rules as they have outlined in the said constitutional instrument 126 that came to Parliament for approval. And so here in Parliament, the processes on this CI has actually come to a close. From Parliament House in Accra, my name is Joseph Opoku-Gakpo.
Well, so that's where we have to take a break. And Gifty will be joined by Manasseh Azuri, Awini, and Ben Efson.
Right, for the newspaper review.
Yeah.
We're back after this.